very special edition of Trends in the Housing Market. I'll be your host tonight, Mike Martins. And again, Trends in the Housing Market, it's a reboot. We're looking at rebooting the series, see if we could get some viewership and see, where things head. And again, this is like the new pilot of the new trends in the housing market, guys. Thanks for joining us and being part of the channel. It is I, Mike Martins, here with our trusty soundboard.
Good morning.
And no, it's not morning. It's afternoon. It's evening here. Broadcasting from Merritt, British Columbia. Oh yeah, we already got a few hate comments in there in the comment section. And all right, so I hope everybody's doing well. Let's kick it off, guys. And Alexandra the Great saying, I just want to say hi. Guys, don't forget to check out her channel. She's got all kinds of cool stuff there for you guys to check out. Alexandra the Great. All right, guys, let's go into a quick channel plug while people are joining us. And we're going to just get off to the races here tonight on Trends in the Housing Market. This would be like our almost 500th episode. Been talking about this housing crisis for years now. All right, guys, artbydano.com, artbydano.net, not your typical art. Don't forget to check out Dano at the Huntington Beach Pier in California. Kiwi.radionz is mikeofthenight.com. Don't forget to pick up back issues of mikeofthenight.com. Not available on YouTube. We are streaming on Odyssey. Don't forget to check out Odyssey, our last Mike of the Night Mike of the Night, episode 444. Stock market and crypto housing disaster ahead. Massive disaster. And then almost a month and a half ago, we talked about right here, economic uncertainty. Mike of the Night 439. We were talking about major economic uprisings, and we're going to see interest rate riots. I'm also on Brighteon if you're bored, and we have a huge war happening right now. This is a one from Sitting News here. Let's open this real quick for tonight's show. Oh, it's a YouTube video. Rental costs going up, and this is coming from City Pulse News. Inflation, lots of strain on wallets, and we're going to see what we talked about here on the channel 5 years ago about this. But there it is right there. There's a war going on. I think it's Bro Leaf versus Lenny Poo are at war in the comment section if you want to join us on our Discord here. And guys, don't forget to check out, when you get some time, the Merit Harassment series. So if you guys bored or something and you want to watch something like To Catch a Vandal, don't forget to watch the Merit Harassment series. Lots of great episodes there for you guys to watch. And it's Trends in the Housing Market. I never thought I'd ever say that again. Trends in the... It's been a while. So, there it is, guys. So, thank you, everybody, for... it's kind of weird. I just haven't done the show in so long. And we're going to kind of pick up... We're going to try to pick up where we left off originally and kind of move forward from there. All right, so what's going on in the news? Well, what's going on? What are they telling us? What are they trying to sell us? So I put up a little bit of a poll earlier in the day to ask you guys, housing, real estate in my area is still going up 35%. So that must be in red states of America, the red states, where you're still seeing housing going up like crazy. We'll talk about that soon. And is crashing. The real estate in my area is crashing 35%. So it's kind of like a split there, right? Look at that. And has no changes 30%. So that could be people in very specific rural areas, or they're not living in an English-speaking country. So I could probably tell you right now, 30% of the people watching this show do not live in an English-speaking country. Who wants me to bring back Trends in the Housing Market? 84% of you said yes, and 16% said, nah, it's boring. And this was kind of funny. I put up here, okay, Americans. So if you want to vote, I'll give you the link to go to vote for this stuff here. If you guys want to join us, and we're gonna revisit this on Mike of the Night on Odyssey. We're not going to be talking about this on here on YouTube, but there it is right there. And then we have your favorite health minister right there. Everyone's voting for Doctor Who, and snap election, who would you vote for? So we're going to be covering this on Mike in the Night. A lot of this stuff, unfortunately, cannot be discussed here on this platform. Okay, so what do we say? Well, on the channel, everyone's talking about inflation, the cost of the... Listen to this. This is from 3 years ago on the channel. Inflation is creeping in. Gas prices as high as $1.61 per liter. Food set to skyrocket. Listen to this part. In my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me if gas reaches $2.10 before the end of 2022. Inflation is merging in too fast, and wages are not keeping up. They're gonna want to federalize the fuel. There it is. Wages not keeping up with inflation, housing out of reach, working poor society in the West 7 years ago. Must be really hard to live in a low-income bracket in Vancouver, Canada. The cost of food is skyrocketing. Wages remain the same, even though Canada's economy is appearing to have a great year. What else do we got here? So there's a lot of stuff we've been talking about here. World of inflation. We've been talking about this for a long time ago. Mike in the Night, inflation to the moon 2 years ago. So the great Canadian peso is here. And it is here now. The great Canadian peso. Canadians say it's getting harder to buy food, to buy food and feed their families. All right, so let's get on to... so those are some of the predictions we did with inflation on the channel over the last 10 years. And, whoa, we got Lord Humongous. Lord Humongous. I remember when I made this video here. I made this video here that gas is going to reach $2.10. Where is it? Right here. From 3 years ago. It wouldn't surprise me if gas reaches $2.10 before the end of 2022. And people were sending me death threats when I did this video. Sending me death threats. Because, why wouldn't wages keep up with it? But this is way before they pulled the trigger on the you-know-what. This is 3 years ago. So you-know-what, right? And the you-know-what that we can't talk about here. But we'll be talking about it on Odyssey on Mike in the Night. Don't you worry about that. We're shadow banned on Odyssey too, but still, people still get to see what we have to say. Okay, world's bubbliest housing markets are flashing warning signs. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the ones we've been covering here on this channel, connecting the dots across the Commonwealth, the voice of the Commonwealth. New Zealand, number one, and price to rent ratio, and then nominal price growth and credit growth. Oh, it's crazy. New Zealand's number one. Czech Republic's number two. Hungary, number three. Australia, number four. Let me put this on, and then that's another one.
Good morning.
This is another one we've been covering on this channel for a long time. Price to rent ratio 140-150. Canada 154.90. There's Portugal number 6. United States 139. And Bloomberg Economics ranking obtained by taking an average of the Z-scores of each 5 measures. The higher the score, the greater the risk of price correction. So there it is right there. I mean, there's not much more we could say about this, but there it is right there. Because the reason why we're in this predicament today is because wages have never been tied to real estate in almost 20 years now. If it was, then we would have had 5 or 10 real estate corrections in the last 5-6 years. We would have a real estate correction every year. But since they, the CPI, the unemployment, the inflation, they removed housing and the actual cost of living from that a while back because they couldn't keep it going. It's too hard to lie, right? And that's why you go back, you see those videos that we made years ago that nothing made sense then. And now it's making sense now to people because a lot of people are starting to wake up to a massive rude awakening. All right, so what's going on? New California program lets first-time home buyers borrow down payment at 0% interest. There it is. So this is a new program. So this is first-time home buyers. And let's go to the channel time machine. What do we talk about? First-time home buyers. How would I have spelt it? First would have been with the number. First-time home buyers. Watch out. First-time home buyer loans will rally markets 5 years ago. First-time home buyers a bad idea. First-time homebuyers returns to Australia. First-time homebuyer loans. So there it is right there. So first-time homebuyer loans, the problem with that is it's going to slightly rally the market, but the problem is it's going to send a lot of people into a debt spiral of debt, and that's what's been happening. This was updated yesterday, a few days ago. I just wanted to bring that up because other cities are adopting the other BS that other cities did to try and keep their housing markets going, right? Yeah, Lord Humongous has it right in the comments. It is first-time home foreclosures. Yeah. They are wiping out the middle class. Don't make me go in here and type in middle class. Don't make me type in middle class across the channel time machine. Watch this. Everyone says, "Oh, I heard this on this channel. Oh, I heard this." You're ripping off other channels. Well, here it is. Rip this off. Canadians more indebted. Destruction of Canadian middle class 6 months ago. What is middle class? 4 years ago. Affordable cities left in Canada 4 years ago. Oh, 4 weeks ago. Sorry. Let's see if we have here. Middle class to be wiped out by 2018. Money laundering destroying young families 4 years ago. There you go. China is destroying American middle class via housing affordability. So it keeps going on. War against the middle class. Amerifornia is going strong 1 year later. That's Amerifornia. That's in the States, though. Seattle disappearing middle class. So there it is. Disappearing middle class. The West is falling. Rising interest rates and inflation will set in 4 years ago. Oh, look at the label there. The thing. In 1986, all you needed was a job, and you had it all. In 1986, all you needed was a job. Disappearing middle class 3 years ago. Oh, there it is. So there it is right there. Okay, Dallas housing market posts biggest jump in close to list price ratios. And why? Because it's still cheap to live in places like Texas and Alabama and Florida and Virginia, West Virginia. Places like that, you could still live an affordable life like you did 10 years ago without having to break the bank. So Dallas home sales are selling for increasingly more above listing. That's kind of weird, eh? No, it's not. It's been happening to us in other English-speaking countries for the last 10 years. In Dallas, Fort Worth than any other market in the nation, according to a new report. Watch this. Da-da-da-da! Investors bought nearly a third of all homes in Texas last year.
Good morning. I guess you've been busy trying to find the man who killed my family, right?
There it is right there. Investors. So what happened? Well, we're going to get into that a little bit later on the show to find out what's happening and kind of give us a little inside baseball here. I'm wearing my baseball cap today too, by the way. So there it is right there. I kind of want to share. Investors bought nearly a third of all homes in Texas last year. And see, this is probably Americans. This is my opinion. The mass exodus of the blue states. Buddy sells his house he bought for $80,000, let's say somewhere in California. Sells it for $3 million to a foreign investor from China, takes that $3 million, goes to Texas, buys 8, 9 homes, 10 homes, free and clear. And this is the emerging, the blue state Amerifornia exodus we've been talking about for years here. So investors bought nearly a third of all homes sold in Texas last year went to a company or corporation that paid in cash, according to the report from the National Association of Realtors. There it is right there, paid in cash. Texas had the highest rate of in the U.S., 28% of homes sold to companies and corporations otherwise known as institutional investors. That's more than double the national average of 13%. So Tarrant, Rockwall, and Midland County saw some of the largest shares of investors. Investors are driven by Texas growth, population, and appeal. So let's check and see what the hell we talked about here when we talked about Texas here. Let's see what we talked about when it came to Texas. Texas just reopened something else. What do we got? Texas Power Grid. Seattle, Portland, and California, Nevada moving to Texas. Blue state exodus gains momentum right there. And that's basically what's been destroying the state of Texas is basically the people selling their $3 million homes and moving to Texas. What else we got here for Texas? Oh, I'm surprised. Wow, I'm pretty sure we did more discussion about. Let's type in Dallas. Oops, spelled it wrong. Housing correction may take 20 years. China follow the money. No, I'm not. We discussed it. You know what? It was on Trends in the Housing Market where we actually discussed Texas in depth through our like we're doing right now. All right. Sellers are losing their grip on Ontario real estate markets, says Royal Bank of Canada. So sellers are losing their grip on Ontario's real estate market. Housing markets across Canada continued to cool off last month as interest rates rose. But the starkest developments are taking place in Ontario again. And Ontario sellers are rapidly losing their previously strong grip on the market. Although demand supply continues, aren't putting buyers in the driver's seat quite yet. So there it is. It's not a buyer's market yet until you see probably a 66% correction in the markets. Because wages need to be, but you're saying, Mike, but last year you said that we needed to be a 44% correction in the markets. Now you're saying 66%? Taxes went up! The cost of living went up! So for housing to be affordable, the housing needs to go down even more! Woo! Have you guys forgot about that? Everything else went up in price. All right. So there it is. All right. I want to see if we could get Gary Madero's on the show. I haven't had him on the show. I just saw him in the comments there. All right. Big changes for Canadian real estate after prominent developers charged with fraud. This is from Better Dwelling, by the way. Canadian real estate cooldown is just getting started, says Bank of Montreal. Canadian real estate has another indicator showing higher rates are tempering the market. Of course, people don't even have money. Canadian mortgage borrowers are back to seeing the average payment outpace wages. There it is. So let's go back to the time machine. We talked about that. Type in wages. Let's go to the time machine and type in wages. Wages not keeping up with inflation, lower rates ahead. Wages versus productivity explained 2 years ago. People taking on too much debt, massive debt loads. Wages are disappearing to inflation 3 years ago. Wages not keeping up with inflation, housing out of reach, a working poor society in the West 7 years ago. There's a lot of good ones here. Canadian real estate in serious trouble. Wages nowhere near in line of housing affordability. So what do? When wages weren't in line with housing affordability? Lower the interest rates even further. Get more money laundered in from China. Woo! And you know what they're saying in Canada? You know what they're saying here in Canada? I'll tell you what they're saying in Canada. Money laundering's a myth. It's never happened here in Canada until you put someone into governance that's actually going to be there for their people. You won't, so that's going to be, I don't know if that's ever going to happen in my lifetime, but I don't think it is. Canadian mortgage borrowers are back. Okay. And a Canadian politician wants harsh penalties to deter money laundering, but do others? No, a lot of them don't. They want to see the destruction of the middle class. I'm not even going to type in money laundering across the channel time machine because it's hundreds of videos come up with money laundering and actual articles that point to the evidence and everything that's happening. But, money laundering is a big deal. But if it was the Portuguese doing it, they'd be putting us up in handcuffs and putting us in prison. But because it's other cultures doing it, or another culture, I'm not going to go apostrophe S on this one, because it's going to make other people feel uncomfortable. Because a culture is doing it, there's nothing they can do about it. And I'm going to show you proof here in tonight's show. And Canada's share of mortgages written off fell, but the average loss surged higher. And then you're going to see more and more bad debt fall off, like we said. Interest rates need to go up like 10% for it to be a correct. We did a video on the rate revelation that I did, kind of looking at getting the bad debt to fall off and start. If they raise interest rates to 16% overnight, you'll see the economy recover overnight. Literally overnight, the economy will start fixing itself on its own. Right? So yeah, Ohio's gone up, but Ohio's a blue state, bud. Isn't it? Ohio's a blue state. Not sure. Even in Ohio, housing, anything that borders Canada, like Washington State, Seattle. Watch this. Washington State used to be Washington State used to be affordable until the foreign investor tax went on. Seattle needs more Chinese. Seattle housing crisis. Chinese to take over Seattle housing market. Here. Let me put this full screen so you know I'm not making this up. Chinese to take over Seattle housing market. Amerifornia is coming 4 years ago. Runoff of Chinese money. Seattle invaded by investors. Portland, housing now unaffordable 4 years ago. Chinese housing wave tsunami has hit Toronto and Seattle. So you have American states that border Canada that are being infected by this money laundering and foreign money being dumped in. IARE is saying we won't see pensions. That's right. That's correct. All right, let's go back to work here. And we'll take in a call today. Show's going to be not too long, guys. We're doing a 1 hour show just to kind of, I want to spend some time. I want to do some things with my kids because it's nice outside. So here it is right here. So this is why Canada's having a tough time. This is why Canada's having a really tough time right now, and I'll explain to you, because Canada had its best housing market in 2021 during the height of the pandemic because a record flight of capital, $43.6 billion from Hong Kong to Canada as China cracks down. So here's the deal with this. The money, Canada was winning the favor of Hong Kongers that were being abused by the Chinese. Canada was playing both sides of the fence because Canada is China in a way. So they're luring the people in from Hong Kong into China. And this is why Canada had a skyrocketing hot housing market in 2021 because of the amount of money that's what they know of. There's probably another $140 billion. And then Canada couldn't secure this deal with Taiwan. The Taiwanese made a second thought of investing in Canada because Canada is obviously saber-rattling with China and then also taking in people that are being affected by Chinese saber-rattling. So the Taiwanese are looking at Australia and New Zealand and some blue states of America to resettle and will re-launder their money. They're not bringing it to Canada. So Canada did not make this deal is not going well for Canada right now. And if you want proof, Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. So Canada basically is built off of money laundering. Its entire economy is built off a lie. And what's happening over in New Zealand? New Zealand's housing price boom cools as rate rises bite. The country, so another country we've been talking about. So let's go to the channel time machine and type in New Zealand. What was happening in New Zealand? What was happening in New Zealand? New Zealand poverty crisis triggered by Chinese investors parking money, young families leaving 2 years ago. The ban on foreign investors is working. New Zealand, house prices flat. It's a trap. New Zealand housing, do not buy anything. Everything is fake. The real estate markets 3 years ago. New Zealand, most affordable cities, looking for affordable cities. That was 5 years ago. What else do we got? New Zealand housing market severely unaffordable 2 years ago. New Zealand now hates me. Take a number, New Zealand. New Zealand rental ripoff, 40 people to one house. New Zealand to ban foreign buyers ban is working. So it just goes on and on. New Zealand housing severely unaffordable, disappearing Kiwi middle class. And this was a good video, guys. Caller gives a massive warning of things to come in New Zealand. So New Zealand housing sell-off, basically selling off to foreign investors, the highest bidders. And New Zealand's been part of this war of housing affordability. Crazy, trying to downsize in the middle of a global pandemic. I guess they're going to obviously blame the England's two housing market extremes divided by £4.73 million. That's the most expensive to cheapest property in England. And London, England is one of the very few cities in the English-speaking world where there's less people of London heritage or English proper living in London. Yes. There's less people of English heritage living in London, England. Give it another 2 years, there's going to be no more like Canadian people living in Vancouver in a couple of more years. It's going to be completely same thing with Seattle, same thing with parts of California. They just can't afford to be in those markets, right? And let's move over to Australia, another country we've been picking on all these years about the housing affordability. Sydney's housing market crash quickens. The weekend's auction results, again, they still do auctions in Australia where they're out on the street with a hammer and thing. You can't even inspect the home. You can't even really know what you're buying because that's how out of whack Australia is. So what have we been talking about Australia here on the channel over all these years? Let's type it in. Australia. Here we go. 10 reasons why I'm leaving Australia 3 years ago. Australia going into bankruptcy. It's getting close to government shutdown. Australia money laundering fiasco 3 years ago. Australia selling itself to the highest bidder 5 years ago. Will Australia exist in 30 years? 2 years ago. Australia will pay foreigners $50,000 to buy a house. I'm going to full screen this because I'm not making this up. Australia in serious financial trouble. Let me see here. Australia don't buy anything. Why Australia? Financial storm. And this is what is it? A minister in Australia said there is no housing crash. There is no housing crisis in Australia. The average $2 million home, that's fine. So there's lots of Australia. Look at this. Wow. It just keeps going on and on and on. Australia was crashing before 2020, April 2019 caller, because we need to prove to people that a lot of this stuff was happening before 2020, right? We were in trouble before 2020. You can't blame this or they're going to now. I don't know. What are they going to blame? The war that's going on? We predicted all of that on Mike in the Night, by the way. And Australians are warned that house prices could suffer the biggest correction in 4 decades amid rising inflation with faster and larger falls predicted for Sydney and Melbourne. There it is right there. And Australian house prices could plunge 20%. They're saying 2% in Canada. 3% in Canada. Yeah, unless Canada could find more money to be parked into Canada, Canada's hooped. And so are the blue states of America. And ad blocker on. What is this? All right, we're going to get a caller on. California's housing market finally cooling off. Okay, I'm not going to pay to read this article. And that's lots going on. Somebody's saying Australia is so out of it. Oh, big time. Huge. So is New Zealand. Huge. Well, Canada's trying to say that there's no money laundering. It's like, what the hell's been keeping these markets up for the last 10 years? Anyways, I really want to talk to Gary Medeiros. I really want to talk to Gary. Let's see if he's got his Skype. There he is. Let's see if he picks up. Gary, go to go somewhere outside so you can talk to me. It's ringing, guys. Hello?
Mike.
Oh my God, it's Gary. It's Gary Medeiros. He's back. We haven't talked in a long time. How are you, my brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So good to hear your voice. So it's been pretty much a year since we last talked.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been watching your shows on Odyssey and been commenting, but since we've last talked, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's so many things on Odyssey we can't talk about on YouTube. We'd be gone in a heartbeat, right? So
right.
So I'm going to give you guys the link to the Odyssey channel if you guys want to go over there and subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Mike in the Night. Okay, Gary, lay it out for us. What's going on, buddy?
I don't know, man. I mean, things we've been talking about for years. It looks like it's finally happening. At least it's starting anyway. I mean, looks like a lot of stuff's going down as far as housing and everything in between. It's not even just housing anymore. The whole economy seems to be tanking, in my opinion.
Well, if you rewind back to the big crash of what is it, 29, 30? If you go back to that crash, housing was one of the major underlying reasons for the stock market to crash. A lot of people didn't know that. The reason why one of the major underlying reasons why that big market crashed back in, was it 29? Black Thursday or Black Tuesday? Was because of housing, believe it or not. People were so over leveraged on their homes. So are they talking about money laundering there like they are here in BC, or is it just something that they just want to avoid?
I don't know. I think money laundering is definitely a part of it. I don't care what anybody says. There's definitely a lot of that going on and still going on. Maybe not so much now that things are kind of seem to be finally falling, but it's definitely a big part of it. That's my take on it anyway. As far as housing goes, I mean, they're raising rates so much at once that, keep in mind, people on variable mortgage rates are feeling the pinch overnight, right? Every time they raise rates.
That's correct.
And I'm hearing a rumor now that the next rate hike for the Bank of Canada might even be a full 1 percentage point. Forget 75 basis points.
Yeah. Well, if it goes 1 percentage point and you own $1 million home, you're going to be paying an extra $10,000 to $12,000 a year in carrying costs.
Right. So
that's a lot of money to
it's 12. Not even just housing anymore. Like everything's like, you go to a store now, you're spending an arm and a leg just for the necessities of life, right? So it's, the whole situation right now is not good.
Yeah. And you know why, Gary? It goes back to this video I made a few years ago. I think it was 7 years ago, a video I made here. And I want to talk about it because it actually talks about what you're saying here. And if you type in inflation, it comes up because I'll tell you a little secret here. Oops, I spelled inflation wrong. There we go, inflation. Now, listen to this. Inflation is creeping in. Gas prices as high as $1.65 per liter. Food set to skyrocket 3 years ago. My opinion, it wouldn't surprise me if gas reaches $2.10 before the end of 2022. Inflation is merging in too fast, and wages are not keeping up. Gary, they can't hide the cover of inflation anymore. They were hiding it in other things, but now it's affected our food. Inflation is spreading like a virus. It's getting into the food. It's getting into this. And what do they blame? The war in the Ukraine. What do they blame? You see what I'm saying, Gary? So they had a good way to hide it before. Now it's just they can't hide inflation anymore.
But the thing is, all Canada or all countries, they pumped so much money into the economy just to keep it going that it's that money that's lighting up everything on fire. It's not even for everyone who thinks that it's the people spending money. It's not. It's just the economy being so overpumped with the federal money that they pumped in. That's why now the economy's basically boiling up because of all this money over basically pumping so much money in that now the economy's on fire.
Well, they created money that didn't exist, right? And then that pushes us towards hyperinflation. But for a country like Canada or even America or even Mexico to go into hyperinflationary mode it's not. Well, they're going to have to go into a major war and have to spend quadrillions of dollars for us to start going into hyperinflationary mode. There needs to be no confidence in the American currency. A lot of things need to take place before we go into hyperinflation, where basically Americans would be using their money as toilet paper.
Right.
So we're headed towards there.
I think we're stuck in stagflation right now. I don't think inflation is going to go down. I don't think it's going to go down. Well, it'll probably go higher, but I don't see it coming down for a long time. They're going to have to raise rates at least at the same level that inflation is before it even comes down, in my opinion.
Okay, let's take
if inflation, say, for example, today they released numbers saying it's at 7.7. I mean,
I knew it. I told Steve yesterday. They're going to say 7.7 multiplied by 2.
7.7. And on top of that, I mean, I don't know, man. That's a scary number. And if rates need to be at least that number or higher to bring inflation down. These little increments, whether they're small or big for interest rate, it won't do anything unless they get to the same amount as what inflation is. So if inflation's at 7, then interest rates have to be at 7% in order to start bringing things down. That's what the view that I have. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's
no, you're not wrong.
I've been
That's
told.
the basic.
And that's the basis, right? I mean, the Bank of Canada can sugarcoat anything they want right now. They have to get rates to at least equal to as inflation, or else it's not going to do anything.
Well, I spoke to Steve the plumber yesterday, and we mentioned you too. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you tomorrow. They're going to say that the inflation's at 7%. And Steve said, yeah, you're probably right. They're going to say 7%. And I told them, multiply that by 2, and you got your true inflation number.
You got the real inflation, yeah.
Yeah, so 14%.
7.7, like 7 point. That's a scary number. If everybody hearing that number right now, or who heard about that number today, I would, I'd start getting worried, if not already. Like that's not a good number to be at, especially with rates already going up the way they are. I mean, it doesn't make sense that the inflation is jumping this high.
Well, let's take 2 steps back, okay, Gary, for the common guy on the ground. Is his wages going to go up in line with inflation?
I don't think so. Because I don't even think companies can afford to give people more money either. I mean, they got their own costs to deal with. So paying people more money, I don't think is an option for a lot of businesses out there, unfortunately.
I don't know if you've been watching my last rants and videos I've been making where they're going to tax us to death. They're going to tax us, and they're going to federalize everything. That's
100%. You're going to own nothing, and the government takes over everything, and you're going to be happy. At least that's the saying, supposedly.
That's right. That's right. We talk about that usually on Mike of the Night. That's a Mike of the Night usually. What we talk about, and we get very deep with that stuff on there. But so this is it right here. Shocking rate revelation. What interest rates need to be to help curb inflation. It's a video I made a month ago. So I went country by country. And Canada needs to be, according to what this video and the information that I got, and with the average wage earners and everybody, I was getting about 9.9% interest rates need to be pegged at 9.9% just to actually start to see the bad debt fall off and actually start to see a recovery in the economy.
Yeah, that's about right. I agree. I mean, I think that's where rates have to be. If not, I think rates have to go up a lot higher to even start tackling inflation. I think it's going to be a long time before it does.
Well, they need to stop printing money because your friend Trudeau, that guy doesn't stop printing money, man. He said $20 million to Pakistan for gender research. So we got to stop spending money like this. You know what I mean?
Well, he's giving it away. He's doing it like it's water, man. That's how our money is over here.
Well, he doesn't care because he has his money, right? He has his money. Yeah. So he doesn't care if you have it or not.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I said, I mean, we've been talking about this for years, and we're mostly about housing, but this looks so major now that it's gonna be out. It's gonna be everything. It's everything now. It's not even just about housing anymore. I mean, housing is a big part of it. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
housing is a massive underlying underpinning issue that's holding it together. Because if people don't have housing, they can't borrow against it to eat, right?
Right, and housing is such a major part of the economy, Canadian economy, that the economy itself doesn't depend on us. It depends on housing in order to keep it going. As much as I hate to admit that, but
Canada's in a lot of trouble because this ties into what you just said. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering, and this article's from 2019. But this goes back here. Let me go back here to Canada. Taiwan saw right through Canada. So Taiwan and Canada to start talks on investment agreement to bring in millionaires from Taiwan to keep the housing going up. But the Taiwanese didn't buy it. The Taiwanese are going to Australia, New Zealand, and the blue states in America. They're not coming to Canada.
Good. They were smart.
Yeah, they're smart.
But they didn't fall for Trudeau's crap.
Yeah. So, but they did. But the Hong Kongese did. If you go back to 2020. 2021, the biggest, hottest housing market in Canadian history during a pandemic, a record flight of capital, $43.6 billion from Hong Kong to Canada as China cracks down. But again, this is from the biggest housing market in 2020, 2021 is because of money that was brought in because Trudeau was using the advantage of China saber rattling and persecuting protesters. Remember the protests in Hong Kong we're covering? Remember?
Yeah, well, I remember.
Trudeau took advantage of that and brought in billions of dollars into Canada from Hong Kong. And that's why we had the hottest housing market during a pandemic.
Yep.
So
It's just they knew housing was going to be the one thing that kept things going, and they did what they had to do to make sure that kept going. And now the Bank of Canada and Trudeau or whatever you want to call it, government has screwed every Canadian in the country. So there you go.
I have somebody asking work shortages that they're predicting. Do you see now that let's go back to what you said, Gary, that they can't afford to pay workers more, and if workers can't afford, employers can't afford to pay workers more, do workers or employees see the value in working still? Because a lot of people are just quitting. They're like, "What's the point of working? I'm just gonna go nowhere in life if I continue working."
Right. No, it's true. I mean, like I said, businesses right now are paying they're in part of this inflation too, and they got to spend money to do certain things or get certain products. So whatever the case may be, marketing or whatever the case may be, everything, inflation's tied into all that. So the more money they have to put in there, the less money they have to, give an employee a raise. So you know what? I think a lot of businesses right now are gonna just, keep things the way they are or whatever the case may be. I know that there's over 1 million people or 1 million people that are not working, and which doesn't make sense to me because if our unemployment rate is the lowest it's been ever, but yet we got over 1 million people that don't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
So
those are able-bodied workers too.
The layoffs have started, by the way. They haven't even factored those into the numbers yet, and that'll probably affect the unemployment rate too. Because layoffs have begun and have been going on for a while now, and once they start admitting that that's part of it, that's happening, then you're going to see a change in tone as well with that. But they're hiding that as well, layoffs, with the layoffs happening with all kinds of jobs right now.
One thing, Gary, I want to throw in there real quick is that if you're not on unemployment, you're not unemployed. You're not on that list.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that haven't worked. I've spoken to several people that haven't worked in 1, 2, and 3 years now. But they're not considered unemployment. They're not on unemployment. So they're not on that list, Gary. So you have, who knows?
Maybe you're right. Maybe that aspect, yeah. But I mean, like I said, there's a lot of jobs out there a lot of businesses are laying people off because the business isn't there, right? I mean, even what I do, I'm starting to see a slowdown in a lot of stuff I deal with. So, you know what? I mean, a lot of things are slowing down. I mean, people basically have to choose between the necessities of life or, the pleasures of life. And, you know what? People are going to be making a difficult choice. And, money, at the end of the day, money comes and goes, man. You know what? You can have it and then you can lose it too. So, you know what? A lot of people put such, money's on a pedestal. You know what? Everyone became house rich because of the house prices going up. Good for them, I guess, in a way. But at the same time, this wasn't going to last forever. Interest rates were going to go up. I mean, it happened a lot sooner than people thought. But you know what? It was bound to happen, whether it was today or in a year from now or whatever the case may be. This was going to happen regardless. This was a no-brainer that this was going to happen, especially with rates going back up. I just, I don't get why people were so blind to it.
Mm-hmm. Let me see here. I remember something specific we were talking about here. So on tonight's show, we're talking about, so it's hitting New Zealand too, because New Zealand has been competing for wealthy investors. It's hitting England, obviously, because they're in the same thing. And Gary, did you know that in London, there's specific huge chunks of London that there's no English people living there because they can't afford to live there.
I believe it.
It's like Vancouver. There's huge swaths of Vancouver that there's no more Canadian people there. There's just no Canadians.
Yeah,
and that's what it's become. It's become that, and it's. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets. Wow, look at this. 4 years ago, double-digit inflation on the way. Rates stayed the same. Brace yourself. Buy and stock food 4 years ago.
Yeah,
wow.
It's pretty...
And look what it says here on the video. My opinion. Pow and the kisser. Notice how they don't even mention housing prices. This is by design to wipe out the Canadian middle class. They need to raise rates to hedge against inflation. 4 years ago, Gary.
Yep, I know. Like we've talked about, this has been going on for a long time. This is just something. This was bound to happen, whether it was going to be back then or now. I mean, this was something that was in the works, that was going to happen for a long time. It's starting to rear its head, and it doesn't look good. I personally think I don't think a recession is the right word to describe it. I think if things keep going the way they're going, I think we might be heading to a depression.
Yeah, a depression. Yeah, that's something we were talking about that on Trends in the Housing Market 3-4 years ago, and everyone laughed at us. And do you see, Gary, the great Canadian peso?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah. I don't know. Like we live in interesting times, that's for sure. Like I said, you said it yourself. We've been talking about this for years, and to see it here now, it's surreal. Like based on what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, it's not good out there.
Well, here it is. Here's another one. I don't want to say this on tonight's show, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's right in front of my face. Food prices spiking in a city near you. They can't hide inflation. People to starve by 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's getting it's there. We're there. We're there. You know what? It's happening already. Like it's crazy. You go shopping now, it's nuts what you're spending on groceries, the basic necessities. Like, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, you know what? If it's crazy.
Wow.
People decided to be in debt and live the life and think they can do whatever they want, which is fine too, I guess. What everyone's entitled to do what they want, but live within your means. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? A lot of people decided to use their house as ATMs, which you have also said many times on the channel. And you know what? It's unfortunate. You know what? And what people don't realize too, when rates go up, it's not even just houses. It's not just mortgages we're talking. We're talking about credit cards, loans, home equity lines of credit. That's a major one there. Those interest rates all go up too. But people just seem to think about interest rates and just assume it's all about mortgages, and it's not.
No, it's not. It's personal debt, blended rates, credit cards, lines of credit, all kinds of stuff. Did you see today's video I put up?
The federalizing of private debt?
That's correct.
Yeah.
They're working towards that to create some, I wouldn't say a debt prison yet. I think I'll be long gone dead by the time they set that up. But they're planning on federalizing your private debt, just like they federalized student loans, just like they federalized. They're going to start taking your debts and they're going to start consolidating them for you, one equal, low equal payments and blah, blah, blah. And you won't be able to leave your country. You won't be able to do nothing. And then I did a video yesterday. Permit may be needed to sell your home. So what they've been trying this in 2017 when housing started to see some sort of a bit of a correction and there was an oversupply on the market and Canada couldn't land in more laundered money because China was clamping down on money leaving shore. So they were talking about creating a permit where you have to apply for a permit to sell your home. And now it looks like they're revisiting that, Gary.
Yeah, I heard some rumors about that too.
So that's how it starts, Gary. It starts a rumor, and then and then it gets discussed on a House floor, like when they pass the bills and the laws. And they'll just slip it in and say, we're protecting household sellers because they want to know where your money is going, what you're spending it on, who you're spending it with. Most importantly, if you're leaving Canada, because a lot of people don't make me. I'm going to bring up $170,000 4-bedroom homes. I could bring those up. I can, Gary, and show people what their bang for their buck gives them in the southern United States.
I know a lot of people have left Canada, like even Ontario. Like there's as far as Ontario goes, a lot of people have left Ontario because they can't live here anymore. It's just there's no future here anymore for their kids or whatever, and the case may be. They've moved to other parts of the world. Like it's nuts. Like so many people are leaving Canada because they feel like there's no future here for them and their kids. So you know what? They just picked up and left, and I don't blame these people who are doing that because it seems like Canada is going down a dangerous path.
It is. It definitely is going down a dangerous path. That's very unique and interesting how you brought that up because most people, it says here, hold on a second, where was it? The video, where are they going? Well, most people, believe it or not, are going to Portugal or our home country. I'm a Portuguese citizen. Are you a Portuguese citizen, Gary?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are your parents Portuguese citizens?
Yes.
Okay, you could apply for it.
Canadian and Portuguese, but yeah.
You could apply for it. You know that, right?
No, I know.
Okay, I suggest you apply for it and just have it. It costs $80. Just do it. And keep that citizenship because then you could be part of the Portuguese Union and work in Brazil or Angola or Mozambique. You don't have to be stuck in this, or your kids don't have to either, right? So
right.
So this is what we're headed towards. This is what all this last 10 years on this channel. This is what we've been talking about. And it's finally it's finally surfacing. It's finally showing its ugly head.
Yeah, it seems to be going down that path, yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
This is all I want to say is this is not your typical, increase interest rates. correction, restart, interest. This is different. We have billions of laundered dollars in here that didn't belong in our economy in the first place. Holy crap, it's going to be a shit show.
Oh, but people are going to start leaving. Like, even that money that's here now, I think all this foreign money is going to get pulled out of here, in my opinion. And maybe I'm wrong, but I have a feeling a lot of this foreign money that's here now is seeing what's going on. And if if they know what's going on, they're going to pull out their money. They're going to get the hell out of here. That's what I think anyway. I mean, if they see where things are going, then yeah, I see a lot of that money leaving Canada.
Well, that's going to be a major issue because that's going to. So, do you think the Canadian average? So, Gary, what kind of income? Okay, we talked about this on Mike of the Night about a year and a half ago, where I even asked you this question: what kind of income do you need to live like we did like in 1986? Like in 1986, all you did was work a job. You had your house paid off in a couple of years. You had everything paid off. You had a very comfortable lifestyle. All you had to do was have a job. It didn't even have to be a high-paying job, just a job.
That's right. Yeah.
What do we have to do to get back to living like we did in 1986?
Gee, I don't know, man. I mean, things have gone up so much since then. It's nuts. I mean, they allowed 30, 40-year mortgages, which is part of the problem, in my opinion. Back then when people had a mortgage, they wanted to pay it off quick, man. 5, 10 years, these mortgages were paid off.
Yeah.
I mean, houses back then were whatever, 100,000, 150,000, 90,000, whatever the case may be. But people paid off that mortgage quick.
Yeah, at making $11,000 a year or $12,000 a year, and not only that, at interest rates at 8 and 9%.
But the thing is, with money back then in that time, money was actually valuable back then. Like,
it was.
People wanted to save and keep that money in the bank and pay off their mortgages so they had money to come. Now, money now is worth nothing. It's worth nothing except being in debt. People just want to spend it even when they don't have it. Like, that's the life we live in. And now, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to pay the price because of that mentality.
Yeah. That's a really good way you brought that up. The way you brought that up right there. People are spending it and they don't even have it.
Exactly. They're using we're the most indebted country in the world. People owe so much money, it's not even funny.
New Zealand too. And New Zealand and Canada are like tied.
Yeah, and then how do you expect these people with all this debt to keep going? Like, I mean, the Bank of Canada basically lowered rates to encourage people to spend even more money. So what did people do? They bought properties, and now all of a sudden interest rates are going up. I mean, these properties that they bought, like I said, variable mortgage rate, you're going up overnight or even right away when the Bank of Canada raises rates. On top of that, a 5-year fix, you're looking at 5% right now. Like, yeah. It's you know what?
So on $1 million, you're looking at about $70,000 a year in carrying costs.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, like I said, houses being over $1 million. In my opinion, no house should be over $1 million. That's my opinion.
Well, no, hold on a second. Unless you have Shaquille O'Neal's home with a basketball court and a helicopter pad and 3 swimming pools.
Why not? Okay. Maybe for people like that, I guess that's a different world there. But I even then, but. For an average Canadian, a house shouldn't cost $1 million, whether it's a detached, a semi, a town.
$265 to $400.
Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, that's about right. I don't know how house should be over $1 million. It shouldn't be this unattainable for an average Canadian to get a house. But then again, with wages being so low and people and employers not giving people raises, how do you expect people to survive? Like, everything's going through the roof, Mike. Everything, food. Everything, you name it, even cars. Used cars are stupid right now when it comes to how much they're worth, because you can't get a new car, so people are buying used cars, and those prices are inflated, which are now part of our inflation numbers. This was the first month where they put used cars into the inflation numbers as well. I don't know if you knew that, but that's what they started doing as of this month.
Wow!
So now
I did not know that.
Cars in the inflation. Yeah, they started this month. So used cars now are part of the inflation calculations that they do every month. So.
Because it costs $1 million in gas.
Yeah, that too. Gas. I see gas being $2.50 by the end of the year. Forget $2.10.
No, I made that prediction 7 years ago.
Yeah, we're looking at probably close to $3 the way this is going.
Yeah.
And you know what? And then people are gonna, and now this summer coming, you're gonna see prices go. With summer coming, people are gonna go on road trips and all that stuff. And I'm sure a lot of, they're gonna raise gas for that too. And people are gonna spend the money to get it because people want to go traveling because of the fact that they've been locked down for so long. Mm-hmm. We'll keep it at that. And yeah, so you know what? I mean, gas is going through the roof. It's going to continue to go through the roof. Costs of everything, you know, even hydro and water have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the carbon tax, everything in between, like
I
everything's
love
going up.
carbon tax. I pay like on my gas bill, my natural gas. I pay like $180 a month in carbon tax.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy. Like I said, I mean, everything's going up, and Trudeau's laughing in our faces.
Yes, he is.
You
He
know,
totally is.
he's a terrific actor. I have to give him that. Like, you know what, the way he talks is, well, then again, he was a drama teacher, so
He was
back.
he was a drama teacher. That's correct. Since you
So,
brought up Trudeau, I mean, let's go over here. Gary, I had somebody call me at the store today saying, Mike, I just watched a video you made where you called the snap election a year before they called it and said that Trudeau was going to win with a mail-in ballot system, and you were right. And I'm like,
yeah, he won, but he didn't get the win he wanted because he wanted the majority. But yeah, he still won.
yeah.
I'll tell you one thing: if he gets reelected the next time around, that election is 100% rigged because no
But
one likes.
this last one was if you go to the channel, type in liberal, you'll see right here. Liberal government will call snap election and win, and that was 1 year before they called it.
Yeah.
I already knew it. But yeah, that's what's happening. And again, the whole mail-in ballot system was didn't work out from the start, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, this one I'm sure was rigged too. But I'm talking about if he had no choice but to join forces with the NDP because he knows he's finished, and that whole convoy thing is what finished him off. So, it's I don't know, man, and it's.
Wow, look at this.
I think he knows he's finished. I think he knows he's done. And that's why he joined. He got the NDP. You could call whatever he did with the NDP. What he can call it whatever he wants. It's a coalition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. He called it whatever he called it. Free some sort of agreement, but it's a coalition. You can call it whatever you want. But he could sugarcoat it, say whatever he wants to say. But it's a coalition, and they both know they're done. It's not even just Trudeau. That NDP leader Singh, he's finished too, and he knows it. You know, it's funny, too, because people, Brampton, Ontario, that we had our provincial election here. And Brampton, Ontario was completely NDP, and it's Singh's brother that's the premier there, or the, we'll call it whatever.
The mayor.
The mayor there, whatever you want to call it, the premier, the mayor, whatever the case may be. He got voted out just because of his brother. His brother totally destroyed his reputation in Brampton, and Brampton completely flipped from NDP to PC. And his brother was at the election that night, and he was there watching, and I'm sure deep down he knows it's his fault that his brother lost. So, So like I said, I think he knows he's done too. So, and he's trying to question. And apparently now he's in the parliament trying to question now the Liberals what they're going to do with inflation being so high.
Never mind inflation. Hold on, Gary. Never mind the inflation.
He's just putting on a show too. So.
Let me talk about something because you mentioned Brampton. My mom sold her house a few years back when my dad passed away, and if she was still in that house, my mom's neighbor is paying $8,400 a year in property tax.
Yeah.
Woo!
High in Brampton for some reason.
Yeah, property tax.
No.
You know that much money, you could actually pay a small mortgage down in Florida and actually own a home. With you pay in property tax in Brampton, Ontario, you could actually have a small mortgage of like $130,000 and pay like $600, $700 a month.
Yeah, it's interesting, that's for sure. Like I said, I mean, I don't know, Mike. Canada right now is we're in dangerous times. Dangerous times. It's not even just about housing anymore. It's everything else too.
Mm-hmm.
This has become so much bigger. It's not even funny.
Well. Yeah, it's gonna get a lot worse, and I hope the predictions that I made a lot of predictions there 7, 8, 9 years ago, leading up to this year, which is kind of bizarre. If you look up across the channel there, it's all ending. All these predictions are ending in 2022 or 2023. Everything's
coming to fruition now, right? I mean, it's just everything's happening. I mean, me and Steve, we talk on a regular basis, and him and I talk about things all the time, and it's just. Everything we've been saying for all these years is it's happening, man. But what sucks, unfortunately, is that it's not even just, like I said, it's not just housing anymore. It's everything else. I mean, pretty soon people are going to be tapped out. They can't afford to do shit.
And they can't sell their homes because they're overvalued. They can't. And that goes back to the video I made today where they're going to federalize. They're going to start federalizing private debt and put you kind of like almost in a debt prison in a way.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And I hope I'm wrong. But that's the only venue or avenue I see happening in governments and what governments could do to solve this issue.
Right.
So, anyways, Gary, it's been buddy. It's been a great time talking to you. And
yeah, you too. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and we'll get you back on the show again, and maybe you come on Mike in the Night where we could actually really talk because we can't talk on here.
Yeah, you know what? That might not be such a bad idea. I mean, there's a lot of things to say that need to be said. So you know what? It's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll catch you on. Yeah, we'll figure something out for that.
Mike in the Night this Saturday. Is it? Let me just check is it the last Saturday of the month? Let me see. Yeah, it's our last Saturday of the month. It's just going to be a regular call-in show.
Yeah, you know what? If I have time, I'll definitely call in. I'm supposed to be going away this weekend, so I'm not going to say 100% if I'm going to make it on this show. I'll try, but I'll do my best.
Thanks, brother. You have a good one. Take care.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, it's so good to hear from Gary Medeiros. Wow. He's been a regular on the show, and he's been predicting a lot of this stuff over the years, too, with us calling in, giving us explanations, or trying to make sense of all this BS that's happening. All right, guys, let's do one last channel plug. I want to thank everyone for joining us on Trends in the Housing Market. We're going to keep it to a 1-hour show just to keep it simple. Artbydano.com, artbydano.net, not your typical art. Don't forget to check out Dano at the Huntington Beach Pier. Commission Dano to do your next masterpiece. MikeInTheNight.com, KiwiRadio.nz. Mike in the Night episodes here you can download for free and listen on the go. And don't forget to check out KiwiRadio.nz or MikeInTheNight.com. And I'm going to give you guys a link to our Odyssey channel where you can catch the last episode of Mike in the Night. Here it is, episode 444, Stock Market and Crypto Housing Disaster. Oh, yeah. There it is there, if you want to join us on Odyssey, because we can't speak on here. And I'm also on Brighteon. Don't forget to check us out on Brighteon. And there's a big war going on in our... Bro Leaf is at war with a lot of people here in the comment section. Find out what's going on if you want to join our Discord. We're here. And guys, don't forget to check out the Merit Harassment series. Who is Mary Gilroy? Another stalker? Who is Alfred? Who is Diane Bronson? Who is Mike Boner? Don't forget, it's a hard-hitting show. If you like TV shows like To Catch a Vandal and all kinds of stuff, don't forget to check out the Merit Harassment series. A really good series you guys should check out. It's on every platform now, and it's getting a lot of views on other platforms. Really good to see that. Anyways, guys, I'm having a lot of fun with the show, so hopefully I'll be back here next Wednesday. And Steven Sewell in the thing. Bro Joe in the house there. Guys, get over to Odyssey there so you could see you could watch Mike in the Night every Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We never miss a heartbeat. We never miss a beat. We're always there. All right, guys, Mike Martin's here for Trends in the Housing Market. I don't even know what episode this is. It's been so long. Take care, and if you can't take care, please stay safe. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.